So, a story, yeah? A story about two gentlemen called Boris and Sergey. This is a Russian story, yeah? And I have a friend. Well, he's not really a friend. He is a friend. He's kind of done nasty things to me in my life. So, his name is Sasha, yeah? And he is a sales manager in Moscow. And, or he was a sales manager, now he's just rich. He was a sales director. And we did a lot of training together. And so one day when he became a sales director, he gave me a call. He said, Tim, I've got a question for you. Yep. He says, look, I am just about to hire 2 young blood new sales reps. What do I do with them? I said, okay, why is that strange for you? He says, well, it's strange for me because normally we hire old dog sales reps, people with established careers, established networks, etc. I said, well, why aren't you doing that anymore? He says, well, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yeah? And I said, yes, but you can teach a young dog old dog tricks. He says, can we get on with this conversation, please? Yeah. So what's the problem, Sasha? And he says, well, I don't exactly know what to do with new hires. What does the book say? That's what I want to know from you. What does the book say? There's the book. I said, I haven't actually written that piece of the book yet, so let's have a think about it. The book says you employ them. I said, hang on, what have you done with new people in the past? He says, oh, that's really fun. What we do is we take them out and get them really, really drunk on vodka, and then we tie them up against a tree and then rip their clothes off and see what happens. I said, Sasha, I'm not interested in your bonding and team building activity. I'm interested in how you start getting them to sell. He says, well, you know, whatever. What do you normally do? You give them some product training, company training, and then you send them out with the experienced sales reps to start getting a feeling for the market and the environment. I said, yep, and that's what's wrong. So this is what the book says. The book says, you get them, you give them the product training, yeah? Then you give them a test. If they don't pass, you sack them. And if they pass, then you keep them. And then very quickly, you give them time and space to do some stuff from step 1 to see if they're good at step 1 activity. He says, okay, so how does that look? And say, well, there are 2 templates in step 1. One of them is the opportunity plan. And the opportunity plan will say to them, find out about the customer's business. What are their key projects? What priorities do those projects have? What are their key strategies? Find out about the customer's business and create a few relationships. So if you get them to do that, that's going to be a good idea. If you get them to come back with 3 relationships per person, that's not going to be bad either. So these relationships need to be assessed on the criteria. I need to be able to call this guy afterwards and he's going to speak to me. Yeah? And if you get them to do a total solution landscape, so step 1, finding out what their technology looks like, I think that's a pretty good way of induction training for a new sales rep. By doing this, you are going to find out, firstly, their level of proactivity. Secondly, their level of business understanding and willingness to engage in business conversations. Thirdly, their ability to engage on a person and people level and get people who they can speak to again. Fourthly, their ability to go straight to the heart of the IT infrastructure in your case and find out some qualitative data that you can use then to assess whether this organization has got some opportunity there for you or not. He says, okay, so we'll do it. Who should we begin with? I said, well, it's probably a good idea not to use any of your existing customers. He says, yeah, because you don't want these guys screwing up your customer base, yeah? You don't want them phoning up your best customer and saying, hello, my name's Boris, I don't know anything about nothing, yeah? So he said, yeah, that's good. I said, so do you have an industry where you would be interested in working in? He says, well, actually, yes, we do. We've got a lot of people in the organization who are very fond of hunting, and they go hunting on a regular basis, and a place where they love to hunt is by the Volga, up near Samara, and they come back with stories about paper and pulp and paper industry and stuff. So paper's an interesting. I said, what? Paper? But that's nothing to do with what you normally do. The normal client base is government, IT, other IT and telco, and finance industry. Yeah, so that's their normal kind of industry. I said, pulp and paper, what the bloody hell's that got to do with anything that you do? He says, precisely. If we send Boris and Sergey after pulp and paper, they're definitely not going to screw up anything that we've got cooking in anywhere else. I said, okay, well, that's not really a good criteria for choosing a new industry segment, but whatever. And hunting as well, you say, yeah, hunting. Yeah, the Russians, they love popping off poor innocent animals. But there we go, whatever turns you on, I suppose. And so this is what happened. Boris and Sergey go into the office. Sasha says, Boris, Sergey, you must do product training. If you do not pass test, I sack you. Boris and Sergey, young blood, 24 years old, 25 years old, straight out of university, very, very ambitious, and they say, yes, boss, we'll go for it. So he slaughters them with product training, and they both pass with excellent results. Yeah. Then he gets them into the office. He says, listen, Boris, Sergey, this is what we're going to do. I am going to give you 6 weeks of time. And in these 6 weeks of time, you can go and prove yourself. Yeah? I need you to go and find information for me. I want you to go and try and open up a new business segment for us. Yeah? This is really important. I'm going to give you a customer, and from that customer, I want you to go and find some information about their business. What projects are they working on? Not IT projects. I don't care about IT projects with this one. I'm just interested what they're doing on a business level. What are their key plans from sales, from HR, from marketing, from product development, from just keep your ears open. Find me some information. What are their plans? What are their projects? What are they working on? Yeah? And so he explained the opportunity plan, the account planning process, and the pizza analogy. He did all of that with them and gave them some good training so that they understood that. Yeah? They said, okay. He says, at the end of the 6 weeks, I need you both to have 3 names. These names, I may call them. In fact, I probably will call them. And when I say to them, I've been speaking to Boris, they need to say to me, Boris, yes. I need to be able to enter into conversation with that person because you have created relationship with them. Yeah? And they said, how many? 3. Can you do 3? Easy. 3. No problem. Ni problema. Niet problemski. That's how they say it in Russian. And he says, and finally, here, this will be a little bit more familiar to you. This one is about IT. Hardware, software, services. Keep your ears open, start writing a big list. I want everything that they have, as much as possible. And they said, okay, 6 weeks. Yeah, what do we do? Where do we work? He says, well, we've got the office here, you can work from here, but the customers, they've got headquarters in Moscow, and so you've telephones, faxes, whatever you need. Yeah? And they said, okay. And they said, who is the customer? And he says, well, the customer is a company called Sappi. Do you know Sappi? Sappi is a massive, I think at the time it was South African, I think it might have been taken over, but I don't know, a massive paper organization. Yeah? There you go, big factory, massive organization that does pulp and paper related products across the world. And in Samara, do you know Samara? In Samara there is the Volga River, and the Volga is this huge, massive river, At this stage, it's something like 4 or 5 kilometers across. It's an incredible piece of water and very mystical as well. And there is a town here called Samara. And Samara is famous for 3 things. In the same way that my hometown is famous for 3 things, Samara is also famous for 3 things. Number 1 is the paper factory and the biggest paper machine in Russia. Yeah, this thing is the size of, several buildings put together. Yeah, big paper. Number 2 is beer. In Russia, the best beer comes from Samara. And I know this because I've drunk lots of it. Yeah. In fact, the policeman said that I drunk too much of it, but that's a different story. And the beer is quite incredible, even though it comes from the Volga. And number 3, Samara, the most beautiful women in a country that is full of beautiful women come from this town, Samara. They grow like mushrooms with legs up to here and hair down to there. The place is just full of gorgeous, gorgeous girls. Yeah? So Samara's quite an exciting place to go, apart from the fact that it's in the middle of bloody nowhere, and the only thing you can do there is get drunk, look at women, and work in a paper factory. Yeah? And they have a massive headquarters in Moscow as well. So, the next week, Boris and Sergey spend a couple of days working in the office. But they start putting calls through to the headquarters in Moscow. And the people in Moscow are not known for their warm, friendly natures. Yeah? The people in Moscow are hard as nails. Yeah? And rarely smile. And when Boris and Sergey gave them a call and said, "Hello, can we speak to somebody?" And they said, "Niet." And so they got a lot of this and were getting a bit demotivated of it. So they had a chat and they said, "What are we doing? We're not going to do anything here. This is crazy. Nobody's going to give us the time of anything. Let alone, why don't we go to Samara? Let's go to Samara." So what they did was they got on a bus and they drove their own money. They drove all the way like 1,500 kilometers. Took them 2.5 days and a bunch of chickens and cows to get there. And they landed in Samara and they got a pension next door to the paper factory and they arrived. Yeah? Sasha gets to the work on Thursday, says, "Where are the boys?" Nobody's seen them. Gets in on Friday, says, "Where are the boys?" Nobody's seen them. Yeah? He phones Boris's mum. He says, "Hello, is that Boris's mother?" "Yeah, da. Hello, my name is Sasha." "Ah, Sasha, Mr. Sasha. Boris is very boss. Thank you for giving job. Boris, very good boy." "Yeah, yes, mum. Where is Boris?" Boris is working for you very hard." "Yes, very hard worker." "Where is he exactly at the moment?" "Oh, Samara. You sent him to Samara?" "Oh, of course I sent him to Samara." "Thank you. Is he with Sergey?" "Yes, they go together." So they disappeared from the face of Moscow and landed in Samara. So you've got to imagine that Samara is kind of, on a different planet. Yeah? And Moscow is a different planet. Yeah? They've got little aliens. And so the 2 Muscovites, 2 young blood Muscovites, land in Samara with their funky clothes and their funky dreads and their funky attitudes. And obviously, the Samarans are kind of looking at them and going, "What the bloody hell are they doing here?" Yeah? So Boris and Sergey started doing what the Muscovites do best. Yeah? Or what they do incredibly well. I'm not sure if it's what they do best, but they do it very well. They party. Yeah? So they go out in the evening, they find a few bars where there's some guys from the paper factory, and they start buying some drinks. Not just 1 or 2, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, until the numbers end. Yeah? And the Muscovites are incredibly good at drinking anything that is very alcohol laden, sweet, sickly cocktails they love, orangey kind of bubbly things they love. Anything that would make a normal person be sick 15 times over, they love it. And they're really good at drinking it. And they have a great capacity in stomach and steel-lined stomachs for drinking this stuff. So Boris and Sergey start inviting the world and his brother to drink all of this stuff. And of course, everybody says, yes, please, we will accept your hospitality. And they get smashed for 3 days. Yeah? Then the guys from Samara, they kind of wake up and say, this is no good. The Muscovites are drinking us under the table every night. And they have a special phrase in Russian which says "Vstretsimся pod stolom," which actually means I will see you later under the table when we are both comatose and unable to walk anymore. A very interesting language. And so the guys from Samara are saying, this is not on. They're drinking us under the table every night. We're losing our kudos. We're losing our cool. We're losing our reputation. Let's switch to beer. Yeah? And so they said to Boris and Sergey that night, hey, Boris, Sergey, tonight, no vodka, no sickly orange stuff with a cherry on top. Tonight we drink beer. And Boris and Sergey go, beer? Beer? That's a girl's drink. Beer? Ha! Bring it on! Yeah? But the problem with people who are not beer drinkers is that if you're not used to beer, it doesn't take you much beer before you are obliterated beyond belief. Yeah? So 3 beers later, Boris and Sergey are gibbering wrecks on the floor, laughing all over the place and cannot believe their bad luck at having been drunk senseless by mere beer. And the Samarans are laughing all over their faces. 4 days later, a little bit of rest necessary, they start speaking to the guys that they're drinking with, and everybody works for the paper factory. So, you know, there's a lot of interested people kind of, and at some stage, one of the guys says to Boris and Sergey, he says, look, okay, guys, we've drunk a lot, we've had a great time, yeah? It's really good, and you guys, you're not complete idiots like the rest of the people from your town are, but you're a bit different, you're okay. Why are you here? Why are you here? And so Sergey says, well, to tell you the honest truth, we are American spies. No, that's not the honest truth. To tell you the honest truth, we're sales reps. Yeah? Our boss sent us. Well, our boss said, sell to SAPI. Find information from SAPI. And so we tried in Moscow, but speaking to your people up there is impossible. So we thought we'd come here and try our luck. And they said, what do you sell? IT. I see, okay. Well, we're not IT people. These are the IT guys. They brought the IT guys over. So within 2 weeks, Boris and Sergey had established an excellent drinking, fun, nightclub relationship with a bunch of guys from the SAPI IT department and miscellaneous other people from different departments. Yeah? Naturally, they had brought with them from Moscow bags and bags and bags of free software from the market. Yeah? So they're distributing this and that and the other. And gradually they get to the stage where they say, you know, do you mind if we come in and have a look around the factory? Yeah? At this stage, they've drunk enough. So even the Russians stop drinking eventually. And when they stop drinking, they turn over to their other pastime, which is sports. Yeah? Drinking number 1, sports number 2, girls number 3. Yeah? The order of priority is right in Russia. And so they go over to sports. They're doing all the football, the basketball, blah, 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 blah. And lots of good, healthy, competitive stuff going on. 3 weeks in, they've been invited into SAPI. They've got good conversations going on with the IT guys. The IT guys say, okay, so what can we help you with? Yeah? And they say, well, look, one of our jobs is to write this list. They say, okay, we can do that. And so they started writing the list with the IT guys. At some stage, the IT guys said, stop. This list is only half complete. And this is very interesting because we thought we knew everything about our company. You've just shown us with this that we only know 50% of all of the IT that's in our own company. Come with us. And they went over to the manufacturing department and they said, look, we've got a couple of consultants here from Moscow doing a bit of research for the university and we want to create a good analysis of all of the IT. So the manufacturing department opened up a Pandora's box, which was a complete world of IT within pulp and paper manufacturing, which the IT department knew nothing about. It was a complete insular system. After that, they said, that's amazing. The SAPI IT guys are saying, that's incredible. We've already saved money. These guys have just made a decision for something that we already have. We can stop them making this decision and save them their budget. Yeah? So 3 weeks in, there was an internal result from this intervention that saved the manufacturing department some, 2,000 euros for a piece of plug-in whatever, which they were able to stop. They said, well, if this is happening in manufacturing, maybe it's happening in other places as well. So they went through the departments and just asking, guys, we're doing a total inventory check of IT. Yeah? Can you tell us what you've got? And at the end of 4 weeks, the IT department had taken this concept for themselves. It was no longer Boris and Sergey's. It was something, Boris and Sergey had a copy, but it was something that SAPI was doing for themselves because they realized the value of understanding a total picture of all of their IT so that they could stop unnecessary expenditure where possible. They could stop competitive technologies being given growth space within one organization, like an Apple and a Windows or a Linux dilemma. Yeah, and so the IT guys are really happy. At some stage, their sponsors from IT, they said to Boris and Sergey, they said, look, we've told our boss about you, yeah, and he knows who you are and you've met him and stuff, but look, this document, do you mind if we tell our boss that it's our work? And Boris and Sergey said, but it is your work. Yeah, but can you say that? Fine, yeah? So Boris and Sergey, when playing football, they said, your guys have been so amazing with this analysis that they did everything. And the boss said, oh, really? So the tool started being used as an internal positioning mechanism for the IT guys. Very interesting. So on to the next piece. They've already done their 3. Yeah? Okay, they're all in the IT department. Yeah? But they say to the IT director, they said, look, our boss says we need to understand what the business is. Is there any way that we can do this? And he said, yeah. Come with me. And he took him to 4 or 5 different offices and he said, guys, you've heard of Boris and Sergey? Yeah, Boris and Sergey, where are they? Yeah, because their rumor and their reputation had gone everywhere in SAPI before in front of them. Yeah, and so everybody wanted to see them to have a laugh. And so they met a couple of other people, arranged a couple of meetings. The guy said, look, can you give them 10-20 minutes? Their boss needs some business information or something. And so they went into these meetings. From 5 of these meetings, 3 of these guys apparently said, do you know how to delete history from Internet Explorer? And Boris and Sergey said, yeah, I do know that. Do you want me to do that? That would be very nice. Yeah. Now, I have got no idea why anybody would ever want to delete the history from a web browser. I mean, why? No idea. But so Boris and Sergey, who also, they did have an idea of why, but they did this and said that they also had, sure, that's easy. Look, I'll show you how to do it, and I'll write it down on a post-it just in case you ever need to do it again for yourself. Thank you very much, Boris and Sergey. What are your questions? Yeah. Well, the questions are a bit complicated for us. What is your business strategy, and where are you going? Yeah, so these were IT guys. They had difficulties in speaking business language. But they said, where are you going? What's your plan? What's your strategy? And they didn't get much, yeah, but they got what was relevant, yeah. And anyway, so 4.5 weeks into it, yeah, Boris comes home with a big black eye, yeah. He has got friendly with the wrong girl at the wrong time, and one of the guys in the paper company didn't find it funny at all, yeah. Sergey's head over heels in love, but he's always in love, so what's different? And 4.5 weeks later, they disappear from Samara. They're gone. And they go back to Moscow, yeah? And they arrive, and Sasha's got his presentation room ready with 10 sales reps, experienced old dogs who cannot learn new tricks, and are rather upset that they have not had the possibility of teaching the young dogs old dog tricks, and they're going to assess the result. So Boris and Sergey first present this, and they present all of their stuff, and from the opportunity plan they show that effectively they've come up with, the paper company has got 3 specific strategic objectives, yeah? Make the paper whiter without increasing the cost. Stop dumping chemicals in the river, yeah, green initiatives, make the quality of excess water much safer, and then there was a very big initiative for pension reform systems, yeah, because a lot of older workforce and the new pension laws and stuff, this was all about, 15 years ago now. And so this one was the interesting one, because this, we've looked at it in a very simplistic form. For them, they had 5 different documents, yeah, and 3 of them were related to the manufacturing IT area, and 2 of them were related to overall IT, and then there's one other one as well. And here, the sales reps are saying, whoa, that's amazing, that's incredible, that's just like our bank, or that's even worse than our bank. Did you tell them what Active Directory could do for them? Boris and Sergey are saying, huh? No, we didn't. And did you tell them that the 2 technologies that they're running here are going to screw them up in about 6 months from now? Did you tell them that? No, we didn't. Okay, and did you ask them what their strategy is for that particular piece of software, which is going to be delisted and there's going to be no support for it? No. We didn't ask those questions. The sales reps are going, why not? You've missed a great opportunity. And they said, we didn't know. We're only young, But they came back with a whole bunch of data where the sales reps were getting interested. At the end of the meeting, Sasha said, boys, well done. You've got your job. Yeah, you sign up. We're not going to fire you. You've done a good job. You've proved your proactivity. You've proved your spirit. You can stay. Yeah. But what are we going to do with SAPI? We need to follow this up. You've created opportunity. We can see several opportunities here. I've got a few questions to this piece, and you've got some relationships. We need to follow this up. So Sasha gets on the telephone, speaks to the IT director. He says, hello, my name is Sasha from Moscow. Beep, 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 beep. Sasha's a big important man. He's saying, how dare they? My name is Mr. Sasha from CRT in Moscow. Very important that I speak to you. Beep, 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 beep. As soon as he says the word Moscow. Yeah? People in Samara are instructed in primary school, if people use the word Moscow, put down the phone. Yeah? Very simple. And so he calls again, and he says, please don't put the phone down on me again. Do you know Boris and Sergey? And the IT director says, Boris, Sergey, where are they? Where are they? But they're here. Where? In Moscow. Whoa! Moscow. Why are they in Moscow? They're my employees. They work for me. You are their boss. Oh, they told me about you. Oh, they told me about you as well. Look, I want to come down. Will you bring Boris and Sergey? Yes, of course I'll bring Boris. Good. Tell me when you arrive. Boom. So they all fly. They fly down to Samara, yeah? Get a room in the pension, yeah? Boris and Sergey says, look, Sasha, we'll go and set it up. Boris and Sergey leave, yeah, the pension. These guys leave Sasha in this miserable little pension for 2.5 days until anybody acknowledges his existence or presence. Yeah, these guys said, let's let him stew. Let's see how tough he is. Yeah, Boris and Sergey are gone. Football here, party there. They're gone. They come back and they said, "Look, Sasha, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening." But they're all saying, "Wait, wait." I think they're playing a game. And Sasha's going, "God, I wish I'd never come to this place." But then he has some of the beer and everything is okay. And then he starts looking at the local wildlife and everything gets a little bit better. So it wasn't completely wasted time. He discovered a little bit about himself during this process as well. And 2.5 days later, he's given the meeting. And he sits down and he says, "Guys, what can I say? Boris and Sergey came down as salespeople. I sent them down. I wanted to see if they're good. They are good. They are good. What are you? You are. Even I could tell they're good, and I don't need to send them anywhere. I know they're good." Yeah? He said, "Well, yes, they're good. And what's really good about them is that they have shown me here something. I just want to, I know you know what I'm going to tell you already, but I just want to make sure that this is clear. My sales reps and I, we have evaluated based on the information that you've got here, that with 20,000 euros worth of investment now, you can save 250,000 euros over the next 12 months, a one-off saving. And after that, you'll reduce the maintenance costs on some of your servers by up to 80%. So there was a return on investment analysis or a value statement that was clearly possible based on the information that they discovered. Yeah? And Sasha was able to close there and then an opportunity that was worth 20k. Actually, the deal was worth 30k because Sapi insisted on Sergey going down to run the project. Yeah? Sasha said, "You want Sergey? You can have Sergey." But so they got an office there and they opened up a little office for a 6-month period whereby Sergey could kind of run this small project. Yeah? Sergey got married to one of the girls, one of the daughters of one of the guys who worked in the paper factory. Yeah? So the moral of this story is sales brings you true love. Yeah? Boris is never